I've been a search and rescue ranger for the U.S. Forest Service for a few years now. Most of my work is straightforward. Hikers wandering off the trail and getting lost. Folks with minor injuries who can't find their way back. But there's one case that still haunts me. The one I think about every time I set out to find another missing person. It started with a call about 2 children who'd vanished while out picking berries with their parents. A boy and his sister, both around 8 or 9. According to their parents, they'd only looked away for a few seconds. But when they turned back, both kids were gone. We sprang into action, combing the area with all the resources we had at our disposal. Fortunately, we found the little girl within an hour. She was fine, just sitting quietly at the edge of a clearing. But when we asked her where her brother was, her story was, let's just say, disturbing. She told us he'd been taken by the mountain man. She said he was tall, covered in hair, and had given her berries to keep her quiet. He then took her brother away to play, as he described it. Her words chilled us. She described this mountain man in a way that didn't match any human being but wasn't quite an animal either. She claimed the last thing she saw was her brother riding on his shoulders, waving happily as they disappeared into the trees. We searched that forest for weeks, looking for any sign of the boy or of anyone else who might have been out there. But there was nothing. No tracks, no hair, no clothing, just a little girl's strange story and an empty clearing. Eventually, we had to call off the search. Telling those parents their son was gone without a trace was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's been years, and I still think about that case. About the mountain man. Whether he's still out there, somewhere in the trees, waiting. Only time will tell. Working as a park ranger in the remote forests of Montana, I've seen my share of wildlife. Bears, wolves, the occasional mountain lion. But over time you develop a sense of comfort knowing what's living in the woods around you. That was until this one night. The night I came across something I still can't explain. It was a clear summer night, and I was on my usual rounds. The night sky was crisp and clear, the air thick with the smell of pine trees, and I was just enjoying the solitude. But about 30 minutes into my patrol, I heard a deep, guttural growl that stopped me cold. I've heard bears before. This wasn't a bear. I turned my flashlight toward the sound, and in the beam, I could just make out a shape. A massive animal, its eyes reflecting the light, almost glowing. Its mouth was open, thick foam dripping from its jaws. I could feel the vibration of its growl in my chest. Instinct told me to back away slowly, but it felt like every muscle in my body had locked up. And then it charged. I barely dodged him, stumbling as it lunged at me. It was faster than anything I'd ever seen, moving with an intelligence and purpose that seemed wrong. Not like an animal protecting territory, but like a predator toying with prey. It backed off, only to circle and come at me again, letting me think I had a chance to escape before blocking my path. I felt its breath, hot on the back of my neck as I ran, branches tearing at me, my heart pounding like it might burst. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it was gone. I staggered back to the ranger station, every nerve still buzzing, trying to process what had just happened. I reported the encounter, but no one could tell me what kind of creature could act like that, or why it vanished without a trace. Wildlife experts searched, but they found no tracks, no signs. All that I was left with are the horrifying nightmares. My first job as a park ranger lasted 6 days. That's all it took to convince me I wasn't cut out for this line of work. Keep watching, and you'll understand why. It was late fall, the sun had dropped, and the fog had started moving in. I was making my usual rounds when I heard something strange. Voices, low and rhythmic, coming from a nearby clearing. It sounded like chanting, and though my gut told me to turn back, it was also my job to investigate weird stuff like this. When I reached the edge of the clearing, I saw them. A group of people gathered around a fire, draped in dark robes, faces hidden. Their chanting sounded like gibberish, or maybe some language I didn't recognize, something guttural and ancient. It was really strange and super unsettling. For a second, I thought maybe it was some kind of college hazing ceremony, or a bunch of tech bros performing a Burning Man ritual. But as I watched, their chanting grew more fevered, the light from the fire creating shadows, making it even weirder. I was slowly backing away when suddenly one of them turned and spotted me. In an instant, the chanting stopped, and every head snapped in my direction. Dozens of eyes, hidden in darkness but wide-eyed and crazy-looking, locked onto me. I felt my blood run cold. My instincts told me I was in serious danger. There were too many of them, and I had nothing but a flashlight and a stupid stun gun. I turned and ran as fast as I could, crashing through the undergrowth, the sound of footsteps pounding behind me. Somehow I managed to lose them, weaving through the trees in a blind panic, running on pure adrenaline. Thankfully, I'd lost them. When I got back to the ranger station, I reported what I'd seen, but my supervisors didn't believe me. They said it was probably just over-enthusiastic campers. None of them wanted to go back out there and investigate. Well, that was it for me. 6 days on the job, and I'd had enough already. I handed in my uniform the next morning and walked away. There was just no way I was going to patrol those woods ever again. Well, if we've learned anything from these 3 stories is just stay out of the woods. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.